What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Mega Man Next Dive character overview video. Today we're going to be taking a look at White Tron, as she is the next limited character that releases in the global version of Next Dive. Alright, so here we are taking a look at White Tron, and I actually really like White Tron, mostly because I'm a fan of the Mega Man Legends series, and this is very reminiscent of Tron in the Misadventures of Tron Bond when she was, I think it was the lab, when she donned her, her little lab coat. But yeah, that's pretty much why I like this Tron here. Let's take a look at the splash screen. I like this little derpy little serve bot and a little other serve bot working in the back here. And I thought I saw, well, maybe I didn't. I thought I saw like the favorite serve bot in the back here, which is basically just a serve bot with like a little red hat instead of the gray hat. But regardless, let's get into the skills. First up, we have the Servbot Borer Customer, or the Servbot Bored Customer, to quickly assault the target in front of it regardless of terrain, dealing 408% damage and 50% damage when it penetrates the target without taking any damage during use. That's very, very nice there. Fat burst damage immediately, and it can penetrate terrain and penetrate targets. Penetrating targets isn't all that great in a PvP setting, but it'll be pretty good in PvE. First up, we have the power increase power rate by 5%. Not the greatest. Harden increased the damage rate by 50% after penetration. Again, not the greatest. And then we have mobility, reduce rep time by 20%. This is what you're going to be using most of the time, because the other two are pretty lackluster in comparison. Though, I guess I do have to say that because this has such a high damage as it is, 5% will actually be a decent chunk more damage on it, but still it's only 5%, so you would want to use this anyway. You know, that's just because of math and scaling with percentages. So next up, we have the Focused Barrage. Concentrate on the target, aim for it for a short period of time, then it will explode and deal about 213% attack damage to all targets in range. When you have a serve bot, it will consume the serve bot and deal an additional 0.5 attack damage. Okay, sure. If there's no target, aim will appear on oneself, regain one serve bot every 10 seconds. So you get a serve bot every 10 seconds for this skill, which is pretty interesting because, to my knowledge, when I've seen White Tron being used, I haven't seen like any like little icon on her that shows like, you know, you have a serve bot, as opposed to like someone like Cinnamon, when you see like the heart meter on her, or the heart gauge on her. Oh, why did I try to make a heart with my hands? Or like with Star Force Mega Man, how he has like the link power bar under him. I haven't seen anything like that on Tron, so I'm not sure if there is a way to see this, or if you're just gonna have to know. You know, you have to keep like a mental note of that while you're fighting her and while you're using her, which is kind of lame. But as for the modifier shit for this one, we have Dynamic Destruction. Force Barrage hits, it will slow the target and reduces movement speed by 35%. Pretty solid there. Except we have Lock and Nullification. We get a target with a player with Focus Barrage, cause confusion, temporarily disables auto aim. This is pretty good unless they have the side's will. And then we have Paralysis Bullet. When Focus Barrage hits a target, the target will become immobile. And these are all actually pretty good, you know, status effects. The only downside is that none of these can pierce Preventative Shield. I almost said Status Barrier, but that's it for a different game. But yeah, as you probably have an idea already that White Day Tron, or White Tron, Lab Coat Tron, whatever you want to call her, it's all like referring to the same character, is more focused for PvP. As you can kind of see based on her passives and such like that so far. So let's take a look at her passive skills. First up, we have Full Mobilization. When you have a serve bot, you deal 40% more damage. When all gobos are consumed, damage is reduced by 40%. I don't know what gobos is supposed to mean. Maybe that's a different way of saying serve bot. Maybe serve bot like the localization for it, and then gobo is something else. But what I assume that means is when all your serve bots are consumed, right? So we saw here, it will consume a serve bot, deal additional 0.5% damage. You gain one serve bot every 10 seconds. So that sounds like to me that once all the serve bots are consumed, you take 40% less damage, which is actually pretty big. Because this is just a flat 40% reduction just for kind of existing. Yeah, you have to have no serve bots, but it's not tied to any kind of buff or anything, and not, you know, not tied to having a certain amount of HP, which is quite nice. And same for the damage amplification as well. Next up, we have Continuous Barrage Device. When you hit a target with a weapon, reduce the prep time for Focus Barrage by 1 second, expecting only trigger 140-second cooldown. For this one, I preferred if this had a little bit more caked into here. We've seen something similar to this on Base Double Cross, who was released quite a bit earlier than White Tron. And, you know, he had it for both of his skills in his one passive. So I would like to have seen a little bit more in this passive right here for her. Next up, we have Loading Special Training. Servbot regenerates fast. You're getting 1 every 6 seconds now. So that makes it so that you get access to full mobilization, or the benefits and the benefits of this more frequently, because it's once every 6 seconds instead of every 10 seconds, which is a huge jump. 4 seconds is a lot of time in a game like this that's cooldown based. We have Emergency Measures. When under attack, use Servbot Borer Customer again to gain a strength and defense state. Taking 20% less damage, replenishing 1 Servbot. This will only trigger once more again after a 10-second cooldown. Nice here. You have even more damage mitigation here. I use Servbot Borer again. You can get a Servbot back as well and take 100% less damage. Downside is that this can be removed. So, you know, Decides Will, interference, things like that will be able to remove it. Decides Will? Wow, Grudge Axe. It's at the wrong status there. And we finally have Protective Device. When using Servbot Borer Customer, get a shield that can withstand 140% attack damage. This can only trigger once more 8-second cooldown. Not bad there. Having shields is always nice, but again, this can be stolen, so you just have to watch out for that. And I don't, like, to me, it just feels like White Tron's passives are kind of lacking compared to the other characters we've been getting recently, but you know, that's that. Next, we'll look at her DNA. She shouldn't release with her DNA in the global version, but we're going to go over it anyway, as per usual. First up, Shelling Mastery. Increase damage by 20% when equipping a launcher or a machine gun, which is actually really, really nice, because the Gustav and Mr. Adventures of Tron Bond typically had a bazooka or machine gun. I think it had like some kind of buster armor in it too, but you know, that's not neither here nor there. But I do like this here. Next up, we have Shelling Adaptability. Reduce damage taken by 20% when equipping launcher or machine gun. These are both okay. I would prefer if these were like, if these were caked in somewhere else, like over here, to be quite honest, like somewhere in here, so she had that inherently instead of needing to wait for her DNA. But to be fair, she inherently also has she has 40% damage and 40% damage in her kit inherently, so it's not the biggest deal that she doesn't have access to these. Again, the only downside is that they're kind of conditional, in that she has to either have a Servbot for the damage amp or have to have no Servbots for the damage emit. And then finally, we have Aiming Device. Focus Barrage takes 30% less time to aim and deals additional 20% damage. This is okay. I like this. Makes her damage come out quicker and do more damage. Not really much else to say about that. Finally, let's take a look at the unique DNA for Tron. We have Surprise Attack when hitting a target in confusion status, or in causing confusion status, hitting target in confusion status, move all positive status. I do like this, but I don't think the applicability of this is all that great. Maybe on Tron you can make use of it more because of her Focus Barrage, so you can you can get through it there on that a bit more. So that's pretty neat there. My initial thought of it though was Base Double Cross, which you don't really want to have a confusion chip on for, so that's why I'm just like, I'm kind of lukewarm on this. Other than that, she has Adversity Amplification Adaptability, Snipe Adaptability, which is actually pretty solid. Snipe Boost and Snipe Adaptability are actually pretty solid because you can make use of those with Decides Will. You could also make use of that with Launcher Amp, Launcher Emit with Decides Will as well, or Cannon God. But yeah, not really too much to really get into here. What do we got over here? Confusion Special Attack, Mobile Special Attack, Soul Special Attack. Okay, and then you have some defenses too, but the defenses aren't that great. Out of Control Resistance if you're really pressed for, you know, getting with Out of Control by Grudge Axe, No Weapon Resistance, and Defense Reduction Resistance. So there's that stuff. So that's it for our kit. Let's take a look at some weapons that will pair well with her. Alright, so she doesn't have anything that she pairs well with inherently, at least coming to the global version, to my knowledge, on release. So we're just kind of going to give her like the generic looking things here. Buster melee, things like that, because she shouldn't come with her DNA, and because she shouldn't be coming with her DNA. You don't necessarily need to worry about machine gun and launchers, though I will cover those as well. So, Buster melee, like I always do. For the busters, air busters, always a great choice. Speed boost has damage mitt as well if you want to make use of that with the swift wind, and also has improved energy shot so you can recover your speed boost faster. Best sniper, explosive bolt. Just remember when using explosive bolt, the hidden skill is going to be personal preference. I always recommend player killer because it's much more consistent than the penetration. Penetration has potential for higher damage output, but it also requires a bit more setup and like know-how of like map geometry, and you know, having a map where you can make use of penetration to maximize the damage. Whereas player killer, you just switch to the weapon and you get 12% extra damage. So that's why I always recommend player killer on that. You could also make use of the Hawk Precision Buster. I don't really like this weapon all that much. Well, I do like this weapon. I just don't think it's all that great. On more open maps, sure, you can make use of it, but if it's on a more open map, I don't really like to use it, because the whole gimmick of this weapon is to be able to pierce terrain from, you know, far distances. But in order to do that, you have to get the buff active first, so you have to hit with the weapon. So that means you need unobstructed line of sight in order to do that. But once you do that, you can make use of, you know, the buffs and ignore terrain. So that's why I don't really like this weapon all that much in terms of like usability. I do like the way the weapon looks though. Sniper Buster as well. Sniper Buster is a good buster. If you don't have explosive bolt, this is a good option alongside the destructive laser back here as well. This is a limited weapon though, so just be careful on if you want to get that, you're gonna have to be pulling on the limited weapon banners. And the Sniper Buster can actually be gotten for free because yeah, I was just trying to show the research level 8, but I maxed mine out, so I couldn't really show that. As for the melee portion of the weapons here, Nightmare is always a fantastic weapon. Nightmare is still a good melee weapon. It's just, I think it's just lost a lot of its initial its initial oomph when the game first came out. I still think it's very good. You could use it as a kind of utility weapon, so to speak. You swing it around, you get an attack buff, and if you hit a target, you get an attack buff. So dealing more damage is always great. You just have to watch out for things like Grudge Axe or interference that will just like steal or dispel your buffs. Next up, Ancient Relic. Ancient Relic is actually the utility weapon that you would use if you're picking a melee weapon for utility. The hidden skill on this has access to speed, shield, cleanse, or crit damage. Speed is probably the most applicable in like 90% of situations, especially in PvP. If you do in PvE, however, you might want to get away with the shield, or some specific units might like the shield. White Tron doesn't really need the shield because she has a stronger shield in her kit already. Next up, the Grudge Axe. Grudge Axe is a weapon that I don't like very much, but again, I can't deny how good it is. Still probably a top 3 melee weapon, for the reason that it can steal a target's buff. It has like a 60% chance at max to steal buffs, which is great alongside the out of control status. So that means the opposition's left and right buttons will be reversed. So, that's something to make use of there. All right, for launchers, we have the Sides Wool. I can't not mention this when I'm talking about launchers. It's just such a good launcher. A lot of people don't like it, but it is very, very good. It ignores terrain. It auto aims no matter what, even if you're confused. Has damage amp as well, and it's just such a good weapon. It has pretty good range as well. And if you are balling on a budget, you don't have the Sides Will, what you can do instead is use the Cannon God. Cannon God is dollar store the Sides Will, or Sides Will at home for you memers out there. I believe it's at 4-star gets the passive to ignore terrain, and this has a chance to stun as well, so you can make use of that if you don't have the Sides Will. And then for machine guns are kind of interesting. I don't think we particularly have like too many like actual good machine guns on global at the moment for PvP. I don't think this weapon has its hidden skill yet on global, But this is something to look into when Tron gets her, when, you know, it gets its hidden skill. And I'm just, like, I usually don't go over these. They don't have the hidden skill in global, but because them also kind of covering when like Tron gets her DNA as well. Basically, what this has is this has the passive like wow, turbo cannon. Oh, speaking of turbo cannon, I forgot to mention turbo cannon. But yeah, love don't hurt and weapon out of energy. Gain invincible effect, take no damage, and that goes well with the hidden skill of this because. I mean, the reason I mentioned the hidden skill in the first place is Fiery Passion. Increase damage rate by 100%, but decrease energy by 40%. You might think that sounds bad, but then you realize that when you empty your clip, you get your iframes. So that actually is very, very good. You know, alongside this passive right here, and you know the damage reduction special and the Love and Peace don't actually like those are pretty solid as well. But because I had to mention the Turbo Cannon. Turbo Cannon has iframes as a hidden skill, but as always, remember that if you're going to go for the overheat protection, this triggers when you run out of ammo, and this increases your ammo. So you just need to be aware of that if you're going to be using the Turbo Cannon for that hidden skill. Other than that, this is an interesting machine gun. The shots from this can ricochet off of terrain, and this does have the potential to stun. So you can use this to stun, depending on the map, you know, can be a little bit better. But this can be a bit annoying if you're using a machine gun. And right here is how it ricochets off your off the shots. And I don't know if this has a hidden skill in global, or not. But, you know, if it does and you opt to use this, you know, that's an option as well. As for the other machine guns that you're likely to see in PvP, I don't have them on this account. And the reason I don't really recommend this one is because while this is a good machine gun, this tends to drop the frames on X-Dive when you're playing it. From when I've used it. Even in like just using it in like solo co-op, like my frame started dropping. So atomic disintegration, this one's pretty good here. This has I think it says out of control, if I remember correctly, on it. So you can make use of that with the hidden skill. Or maybe this is confusion, I don't remember. And then the other one is the Savage Husk of Thunder. Savage Husk of Thunder is very nice as well. It has access to Defense Crush. It has access to I think this one has confusion, and this one is out of control. Confusion, so they can't auto aim. Defense Crush as well, and I believe it can also dispel some buffs. So this is also a pretty nice weapon to have as well. Oh, and I kind of forgot to mention the Singularity Slasher. I was mentioning melee weapons. Singularity Slasher, this guaranteed gets rid of buffs, but when you're hitting a target, so you can use this Overgrudge Axe, but why get rid of a buff when you could just take the opponent's buffs and give it to you instead of just dispelling it, you know? This does have a guaranteed chance of getting rid of them, where Grudge Axe is a chance, 60% chance, well, this is 100%, but with how you use melee weapons in this game, I don't think it's that big of a deal for the trade-off and getting rid of buffs and things like that. As for weapons you use for PvE, just generic stuff, depending on what you're doing. Like, you're gonna want weapons that give you some kind of healing. So, like, defensive specialty for melee weapons gives some kind of healing. I believe the Crimson Scythe is the name of it, I think. Crimson Scythe also has healing as a hidden skill as well, so you can make use of this. These are mostly be for things like Jakob's Orbital Elevator, you know. So you get healing when you defeat enemies off of that. I believe that the Monster Sword here, Sinister Shadow Saber, is fantastic for bosses because this is as you hit a boss target, you get HP recovery, which is fantastic there. For machine guns, we have the Super Mag Gun. When you defeat an enemy with this, with the hidden skill, you recover some HP. And for sprayers, we have the Heart Sprayer, which can just heal you. When the heart arrow hits, or when you hit below a certain amount of HP. And this also has another passive as well. When you drop below a certain amount of HP, you get healing. And then we have the Bubble Bomber. Bubble Bomber right here. When you get hit, you can recover HP, and for this one, you can get the regeneration skill. I don't know why the the passive is awkward like this, but yes, when you use all the energy, you can recover HP. So those are the things you want to look into if you're using her for PvP or PvE. Like I said, just make sure you pick the appropriate weapon for whatever, you know, like Jakob stage you're doing, or just pick one if you're doing story stage or something like that. All right, now for the real fun part, the cards. As per usual, it's just going to be a lot of like this, the same as the usual stuff I recommend. Player killer, and things of that nature. Depending on what you're using, maybe you want to do the double elite hunter setup or the successfully completed for double amplification. Elite hunter is just better though, so if you get access to that, you know, just use that instead. So without further ado, Akuma has Master of the Fist, damage, amplification, damage mitigation when you're fighting a player by 4% each way, so that's good there. M. Bison has Player Killer on his card as well. Unfortunately, these two cards are limited, so if you don't have these two, you can't get them for the current point in time. Next up, we have the Elite Hunters. Elite Hunters for double implication for Buster Melee. If you're using Buster Melee, this is what you're going to be using. 2 Elite Hunters and a red card. And one of the cards I recommend if you're using Elite Hunter, because you're going to be using a Buster and a Melee combo, is Access Memories. Because Access Memories has a Buster amplification as well here. So that's something you can use there. Or you can use the X and Zero card. I usually recommend the Extra Memories card because this can always be gotten from the Deep Recorder. Whereas X and Zero, I don't actually remember where you get that, to be honest. I think maybe I got it from like a monthly reward or something. This has a Buster Adaptability here, so this can increase or decrease damage you take even more. And it also has Adversity Amplification on it as well. That will trigger off of the double Elite Hunter cards. Alongside that, there's some other player killer cards you can use as well, like the... I just saw it. All right, right here. Oh, nope, not I saw it. Violin, that's player killer, which you get from card packs. Oh, I forgot the 2 most important player killer cards, actually. I didn't show those here. And I say the 2 most important because you can pick these up from the token shop. The Life Aura card for, you know, one of the base cards, it's double yellow, red. So you can pick up 2 of these and stack them together. And the what? No, not that way. Sigma X4 second form has player killer as well, which you can get from the token shop as well. And then outside of that, it's just gonna really depend on what you can slot into your DNA or what you don't have covered in your DNA. Which is like basically like all the cards. I believe this. Yeah, this is Buster Melee double amplification as well, which you can also get from the guild if you're really struggling to get that. There are some player killer cards down here as well if you don't have any kind of tokens left. Player killer down here from Mac. You can get that from card packs. And the Wheel Gator card also has player killer, but it's not that great. And you can get this from the research lab as well. So there is that. You can also use launcher amplification cards, or, you know, machine gun amplification cards if you're using those, as those will help you out. The Vial Mark II and Goliath has launcher amplification too. You can get that from card packs. And I think the regular Tron. Oh, the regular Tron card actually has launcher adaptability, not launcher amplification. So, I mean, there's something you can use for that as well. The Hell Sigma card, which I'm pretty sure we have access to in Global at this point, has launcher amplification on it as well, and you can stack this with itself because it triggers off of double yellow, so you can stack 1 non-5-star and 1 5-star and get access to 14% damage while you're having a launcher equipped. Oh, Wolf Sigma also has player killer and launcher adaptability, which I completely forgot about, so this is a decent option as well for your player killer needs. All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up for White Tron here. Like I said, I like White Tron. Should you pull for White Tron? I'm gonna have to say no for White Tron. Outside of maybe if you just really like the character and as you can see on my account, even though I like Tron, I like this, I like this iteration of Tron, I simply don't own her. I didn't really want to pull for her last time. Well, okay, I did. I didn't have the EMs, but even if I did have the EMs, I want to pull for her. And I can even pull for her now, but like I said, I'm just not going to. She's an okay option, but with how many other things that we know are coming up soon, I don't think it's really worth getting there. Unless, like I said, unless you really, really like Tron. Because something going to come up really soon for PvP are going to be quite the thing to deal with there. So that's, overall my thoughts on Tron there. Real quick, before I wrap this video up, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my YouTube channel members and my patrons. Thank you for supporting me, allowing me to do what I do. If you'd like to support me as a patron or YouTube channel member, you find information on how to do that down below, getting some benefits in the process. And I will catch you guys next time. Later.